Welcome back to Easy English Talk Podcast.
Imagine looking in the mirror every morning and feeling disappointed by the person looking back at you. You see your mistakes, your flaws, everything you think you're not good enough at. What if I told you that this daily habit is stopping you from living the life you deserve? Hello everyone, and welcome to Easy English Talk Podcast. I'm Ryan, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Priya. Today, we are discussing learning to love yourself.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here with you all. This topic is so important because I think many people struggle with it every single day. And Ryan, you're right. That mirror moment is something so many of us experience.
It really is, Priya. You know, self-love sounds like a simple idea, but when you try to practice it, it feels impossible. Why do you think that is?
I think one big reason is that we grow up learning to be critical of ourselves. From childhood, we're taught to focus on what we do wrong instead of what we do right. Our parents, teachers, even friends often point out our mistakes more than our successes.
That's a really good point. So we basically train ourselves to see our own faults first. It becomes a habit we don't even notice anymore.
Exactly. And then social media makes it even worse. We scroll through our phones and see everyone else looking perfect, living amazing lives. We compare our real life to their edited highlight reel.
Oh, that comparison trap is brutal. You see someone's vacation photos and suddenly your own life feels boring. But we forget that we're only seeing the best parts of their life, not the struggles.
Right. And this constant comparison creates a voice in our head. That voice tells us we're not good enough, not smart enough, not attractive enough. It's like having a mean roommate living in your own mind.
I love that description, the mean roommate in your mind. And the worst part is, we believe that voice. We accept it as truth instead of questioning it.
Yes, and over time, this voice gets louder and stronger. It affects our choices, our relationships, even our career decisions. We start playing small because we don't think we deserve more.
So basically, not loving yourself isn't just about feeling bad. It actually limits your whole life. It stops you from trying new things or going after what you want.
Absolutely. And there's another problem too. Many people think self-love means being selfish or arrogant. They confuse loving yourself with being self-centered.
That's such an important distinction to make. Self-love isn't about thinking you're better than everyone else. It's about recognizing your own value as a human being.
Exactly. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd show a good friend. If your friend made a mistake, you wouldn't call them stupid or worthless, but we say those harsh things to ourselves all the time.
That's true. We're often our own worst enemy. So if someone's listening right now and thinking, yes, that's me, I struggle with this, where do they even start?
Well, I think the first step is awareness. You need to start noticing that negative voice in your head. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself throughout the day.
So it's like becoming a detective of your own thoughts, just observing without judgment at first. What might someone notice when they do this?
They might notice they say things like, I'm so stupid when they make a small mistake, or I look terrible when they see themselves in a photo. These automatic thoughts happen so fast, we don't even realize we're doing it.
And once you start noticing these thoughts, then what? How do you actually change them?
The next step is to challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this really true, or is it just my inner critic talking? Most of the time, you'll realize these thoughts are exaggerated or completely false.
Can you give us an example of how that would work? Like a specific situation someone might face?
Sure. Let's say you give a presentation at work and stumble over your words once. Your inner critic might say, everyone thinks I'm incompetent now. I ruined everything. But if you challenge that, you'd ask, did I really ruin everything? Did anyone actually say that?
And the answer is probably no. Maybe you stumbled once, but you also made good points and finished the presentation. The mistake was tiny compared to the whole thing.
Exactly, and that's where perspective comes in. We tend to magnify our mistakes and minimize our successes. Learning to see things more accurately is crucial for self-love.
So it's about being more balanced in how we see ourselves, not pretending we're perfect, but also not focusing only on the negative. That sounds reasonable, but also challenging to do consistently.
It is challenging, and that's why practice is so important. You can't just decide one day to love yourself and expect it to happen instantly. It's like building a muscle. You need to work on it regularly.
I like that comparison. So what are some practical exercises people can do to build this muscle? Something concrete they can start today.
One powerful exercise is keeping a daily wins journal. Every evening, write down 3 things you did well that day, no matter how small. It can be as simple as, I made my bed, or I was kind to a stranger.
That seems almost too simple. But I guess the point is to train your brain to look for the positive, right?
Yes, because our brains naturally focus on threats and problems. It's a survival mechanism from our ancient past. But in modern life, this makes us overlook all the good things we do.
So we're basically rewiring our brain to notice the positive. What's another practical technique people can use?
Another great one is the mirror exercise. Every morning, look yourself in the eye and say one kind thing. It might feel awkward at first, but it's really powerful.
What kind of things should people say? Give me some examples that would work.
You could say, I'm doing my best, or I deserve kindness and respect, or even, I'm learning and growing every day. The key is to say something you can actually believe, not something that feels fake.
That makes sense. If you say, I'm perfect, but don't believe it, it won't help. But I'm doing my best is something most people can genuinely accept.
Exactly. Start with statements that feel true or at least possible. As you practice, you can gradually move to more confident affirmations. The goal is progress, not perfection, which is actually a good principle for self-love in general.
Progress, not perfection. I really like that. It takes the pressure off and makes the journey feel more manageable. What about dealing with past mistakes or regrets? That seems like a big obstacle for many people.
Oh, that's huge. Many people can't love themselves because they're stuck in the past. They keep replaying old mistakes and punishing themselves over and over.
I think we've all been there. You remember something embarrassing from years ago and you just cringe. How do you move past that and forgive yourself?
First, you need to understand that making mistakes is part of being human. Everyone makes mistakes, every single person on Earth. The difference is some people learn from them and move on, while others stay stuck.
So it's about accepting that mistakes are normal, not evidence that you're a bad person. But how do you actually forgive yourself for something you deeply regret?
One helpful approach is to write a forgiveness letter to yourself. Describe what happened, acknowledge the pain it caused, and then offer yourself compassion. Explain what you've learned and how you've grown since then.
That sounds like it could be quite emotional, but I guess that's part of the healing process, right?
Yes, and it's important to let yourself feel those emotions. Many people try to push away guilt or shame, but those feelings just get stronger. When you acknowledge them with kindness, they start to lose their power.
So you're not ignoring what happened or pretending it wasn't wrong. You're accepting it, learning from it, and then releasing yourself from ongoing punishment. That seems like a healthy way to handle it.
Exactly, and remember, holding on to guilt doesn't help anyone. It doesn't undo the past, and it doesn't make you a better person. What makes you better is learning and choosing to do differently in the future.
That's a really important point. Guilt can feel like you're being responsible, but really you're just staying stuck. Now, what about the physical side of self-love? How does taking care of your body fit into this?
Physical self-care is a really important expression of self-love. When you love yourself, you want to treat your body well. But it's not about punishing yourself with extreme diets or brutal workout routines.
Right, because I think many people approach fitness from a place of self-hatred, like, I hate my body, so I need to fix it. That's not really self-love, is it?
No, it's not. True self-love means moving your body because it feels good and keeps you healthy. It means eating nutritious food because you deserve to feel energized and strong.
So the motivation changes completely. Instead of, I need to exercise because I'm not good enough, it becomes, I exercise because I value myself. That's a huge mental shift.
It really is, and that shift makes everything easier. When you're motivated by love instead of shame, you're more likely to stick with healthy habits. Plus, you enjoy the process instead of dreading it.
What about rest and sleep? I feel like in our busy culture, getting enough rest is seen as lazy or weak.
That's such a harmful belief. Rest is not laziness. It's essential for your physical and mental health. When you love yourself, you recognize that your body needs time to recover and recharge.
So, saying no to extra commitments to get a good night's sleep is actually an act of self-love, not something to feel guilty about.
Absolutely. And setting boundaries in general is crucial for self-love. You can't love yourself if you're constantly saying yes to things that drain you. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is say no.
Boundaries are tough, though. Many people feel guilty when they set boundaries because they worry about disappointing others. How do you balance taking care of yourself with caring about other people?
It's important to understand that you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're exhausted and burned out, you won't be able to help anyone effectively. Taking care of yourself first isn't selfish, it's necessary.
So, it's like the airplane oxygen mask rule. You put your own mask on first before helping others. Otherwise, you both end up in trouble.
Perfect analogy. And when you set healthy boundaries, you actually become better in your relationships. You show up more present, more patient, and more genuine.
That makes sense. You're not running on empty and resenting everyone around you. What about dealing with people who don't respect your boundaries or who actively put you down?
That's a really important question. Part of loving yourself is choosing to spend time with people who treat you well. If someone constantly criticizes you or makes you feel bad about yourself, you need to limit contact with them.
Even if it's family or longtime friends? That seems really difficult.
It is difficult, but sometimes necessary. You don't have to cut people out completely unless they're truly toxic, but you can reduce the time you spend with them and protect your emotional energy.
And I guess you can also work on not taking their criticism so personally. If you love yourself, their negative opinions have less power over you.
Exactly. When you know your own worth, other people's judgments don't shake you as much. You can hear criticism, consider if there's any truth to learn from, and let the rest go. It's like you have a shield of self-love protecting you.
I really like that image. Now, let's talk about comparing yourself to others because we touched on social media earlier. How do you stop that constant comparison?
Comparison is such a creativity killer and happiness thief. The truth is, you will always find someone who seems better at something than you, but that doesn't mean you're not valuable or successful in your own right.
So, it's about running your own race instead of constantly looking at what everyone else is doing. But practically speaking, how do you stop comparing when you're surrounded by it?
One strategy is to limit your social media use, especially if it triggers comparison. You can also curate your feed to follow people who inspire you rather than make you feel inadequate. And when you do find yourself comparing, pause and redirect your thoughts.
Redirect to what exactly? What should you think about instead?
Remind yourself that everyone is on a different journey with different circumstances. That person's chapter 20 might look amazing, but you're on chapter 5. You can't compare two different points in completely different stories.
That's a helpful way to think about it. And I suppose celebrating other people's success instead of feeling threatened by it is part of self-love too.
Absolutely. When you truly love yourself, you don't see other people's wins as your losses. There's enough success and happiness to go around. Someone else doing well doesn't take anything away from you.
It's an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset. What about people who've experienced trauma or have mental health challenges? Is self-love still possible for them, or do they need professional help first?
That's a sensitive and important question. Self-love is possible for everyone, but people with trauma or mental health issues might need extra support. There's no shame in seeking therapy or counseling to work through deeper issues.
So the techniques we've talked about can still help, but they might not be enough on their own. Professional guidance can make a huge difference.
Yes, and it's important to recognize that asking for help is actually an act of self-love. It shows you value yourself enough to invest in your healing and growth. You're not weak for needing support. You're wise for seeking it.
I think that's something many people need to hear. Our culture sometimes makes asking for help seem like a failure, but it's really just being honest about your needs.
Exactly. And therapists have tools and perspectives that can really accelerate your healing. They can help you understand patterns you might not see on your own. Plus, having someone in your corner who's trained to help makes the journey less lonely.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about self-love in relation to goals and ambitions. Some people worry that if they love themselves as they are, they'll lose motivation to improve. Is that a valid concern?
I hear this worry a lot, but it's based on a misunderstanding of self-love. Loving yourself doesn't mean settling or giving up on growth. It means pursuing growth from a place of self-respect rather than self-hatred.
So you can want to improve without believing you're currently worthless. You can work toward goals while still appreciating where you are now.
Exactly. It's the difference between I want to grow because I'm not good enough and I want to grow because I'm excited about my potential. The second approach is so much healthier and more sustainable.
And probably more effective too, right? Because you're not constantly beating yourself up along the way.
Yes, research actually shows that self-compassion leads to better outcomes than self-criticism. When you're kind to yourself about setbacks, you recover faster and keep going. When you're harsh with yourself, you're more likely to give up.
That makes sense. If every mistake is evidence that you're terrible, why would you keep trying? But if mistakes are just part of learning, you can dust yourself off and continue.
Exactly. And self-love gives you resilience. When you face challenges or failures, your self-worth isn't destroyed. You know you're still valuable, regardless of this one outcome.
So self-love is actually practical and useful, not just a feel-good concept. It genuinely helps you navigate life better.
Absolutely. People with healthy self-love tend to have better relationships, more career success, and greater life satisfaction. They're not held back by fear and insecurity. They take healthy risks and go after what they want.
What about teaching children to love themselves? If you're a parent listening, how can you raise kids with healthy self-love?
That's so important because the patterns we develop in childhood often last a lifetime. The first thing is to model self-love yourself. Children learn more from what they see than what they're told.
So if you're constantly criticizing yourself in front of your kids, they learn that's normal. But if they see you treating yourself with kindness, they'll do the same.
Exactly. And it's important to praise effort rather than just outcomes. Instead of, you're so smart, say, I'm proud of how hard you worked on this. This teaches them that their worth isn't tied to being perfect or winning.
And probably avoid comparing them to siblings or other children, too. That just plants those comparison seeds early.
Yes, celebrate each child as an individual with unique strengths. Help them see their own progress over time rather than measuring themselves against others. And when they make mistakes, respond with understanding and guidance, not harsh punishment.
It sounds like creating an environment where it's safe to be imperfect, where mistakes are learning opportunities, not catastrophes.
Exactly. And also teaching them to identify and express their feelings. Emotional awareness is a key part of self-love. You need to understand your own needs and emotions to take care of yourself properly.
These are all great points for parents, but I think they're useful for adults working on their own self-love too. You can reparent yourself in a way, giving yourself the understanding you might not have received as a child.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's never too late to develop a healthier relationship with yourself. Your childhood might have programmed certain beliefs, but you have the power to reprogram them.
Let's talk about gratitude for a moment. How does being grateful connect to loving yourself?
Gratitude is actually a powerful self-love practice. When you regularly acknowledge what's good in your life, including your own positive qualities, you train your brain to see abundance. You stop focusing only on what's wrong or missing.
So it's another way of balancing your perspective, not ignoring problems, but also recognizing what's working.
Yes, and you can practice gratitude specifically toward yourself. Thank your body for carrying you through the day. Appreciate your mind for solving problems. Acknowledge your heart for caring about others.
That's interesting, treating yourself like a friend you're grateful for. Most people would never think to thank their own body or mind.
But why not? Your body and mind do incredible things for you every single day. They deserve recognition and appreciation, not constant criticism.
So, instead of, ugh, I hate my stomach, it could be, thank you, body, for digesting my food and giving me energy. That's a radical shift in perspective.
It really is, and that shift ripples out into everything. When you appreciate yourself, you naturally want to take better care of yourself. You make choices that honor your well-being.
What about forgiveness from others? Sometimes we struggle to love ourselves because we know we've hurt people and they haven't forgiven us.
That's a difficult situation. You can apologize sincerely and try to make amends, but you can't control whether others forgive you. At some point, you have to forgive yourself, even if they don't.
That must be really hard, though. How do you forgive yourself when someone you hurt is still angry with you?
You have to separate your worth as a person from the mistake you made. You did something wrong, but that doesn't make you fundamentally bad. You can commit to doing better while still treating yourself with basic human dignity.
And I guess continuing to punish yourself doesn't help the person you hurt anyway. It just keeps you stuck and miserable.
Exactly. The best apology is changed behavior. Focus on becoming a better person rather than drowning in guilt. That's how you honor both yourself and the person you hurt.
Let's discuss the role of purpose and meaning in self-love. Do you need to have your life figured out to love yourself?
Not at all. That's another misconception. You don't need to have achieved certain goals or found your perfect purpose to deserve love. You're worthy simply because you exist.
So self-love isn't something you earn through accomplishments. It's something you give yourself unconditionally.
Yes, though having purpose and meaning in your life does support self-love. When you're contributing to something beyond yourself, you feel more fulfilled. But the foundation of self-worth should be there regardless.
What if someone feels like they have no purpose or direction? Can working on self-love help them find that?
Actually, yes. When you love yourself, you become more curious about what brings you joy and fulfillment. You give yourself permission to explore and try new things. Self-love creates the courage to discover your purpose.
So it's not find your purpose, then you can love yourself. It's more like love yourself and you'll be brave enough to seek purpose.
Exactly. Self-love comes first. It's the foundation that everything else builds on. Without it, even achieving your goals won't bring lasting satisfaction.
Because you'll just move the goalpost and say you're still not good enough. I've definitely seen people do that, always chasing the next thing that will finally make them feel worthy.
It's an exhausting cycle. External achievements feel good temporarily, but they can't fill an internal void. Only self-love can do that.
So really, everything we've talked about comes back to this central idea that you have to value yourself from the inside, not wait for external validation.
Yes, and that's both freeing and challenging. It's freeing because you're not dependent on others for your self-worth, but it's challenging because you can't avoid the work by just achieving more or getting more approval.
You have to actually do the internal work, which brings us back to the practical techniques, the daily practices, the ongoing commitment.
Right. Self-love is a practice, not a destination. Some days will be easier than others. You might have setbacks where your inner critic gets loud again.
And that's okay. That's part of being human. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Just keep showing up for yourself even when it's hard.
And remember, small steps count. You don't have to transform overnight. Every kind thought, every boundary you set, every moment you choose compassion over criticism, it all adds up.
What would you say to someone who's listening right now and thinking, this all sounds great, but I've tried to love myself before and failed?
I would say that past attempts weren't failures. They were practice. Every time you try, you learn something about yourself. Maybe this time you'll try a different approach, or maybe you're just in a better place to receive the message.
So don't give up just because it didn't work before. Your relationship with yourself is worth the continued effort.
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Talk to supportive friends, join a community, work with a therapist. Surround yourself with people who see your value, especially while you're learning to see it yourself.
That's great advice. Having that external support while you build internal strength makes a big difference.
And be patient with yourself. If you've spent years or decades being self-critical, it will take time to change. But every day you practice self-love, it gets a little bit easier.
The neural pathways in your brain actually change. You're literally rewiring how you think about yourself.
Yes, neuroplasticity is amazing. Your brain can learn new patterns at any age, so it's never too late to start treating yourself better.
I think that's a hopeful note. Change is always possible, no matter where you're starting from.
And the benefits are so worth it. Imagine waking up and feeling peaceful about who you are. Imagine making decisions without constant self-doubt. Imagine enjoying your life without that harsh inner critic running commentary.
That sounds like freedom. Freedom from your own judgment, freedom to be yourself, freedom to take risks and grow.
It really is freedom, and it's available to everyone who's willing to do the work. Not easy work, but meaningful work.
So, we've covered a lot today. From understanding why self-love is hard to practical techniques to dealing with setbacks and relationships. What would you say is the most important takeaway?
I think the most important thing is to start somewhere, anywhere. Don't wait until you feel ready or until you've figured everything out. Just begin treating yourself a little bit better today than you did yesterday.
Start small and build from there. And remember that loving yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. It makes you a better friend, partner, parent, coworker, and human being.
When you fill your own cup, you have so much more to offer the world. You show up more authentic, more generous, more present. That's the gift that self-love gives, not just to you, but to everyone around you.
Well said, Priya. And I hope everyone listening feels inspired to take that first step, or to keep going if they're already on this journey.
Your relationship with yourself is the longest relationship you'll ever have. It deserves your time, attention, and care. You deserve your own love and kindness.
Thank you all so much for joining us today on Easy English Talk Podcast. We really appreciate you spending this time with us exploring this important topic. If you found this helpful, we have many other episodes covering topics like managing stress, building confidence, and creating healthy habits.
Yes, please check those out. And remember, we're here to make these important life topics easy to understand and apply. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Until next time, be kind to yourself. You're doing better than you think. Goodbye, everyone.